how many store visits before a sale. That translates loosely into an e-commerce conversion rate. I've done some research across the internet for you so you don't have to go looking around for those numbers, and the numbers is about 1 to 2%, and that translates into about 1 to 2 sale per 100 visits to your website. However, the number is just a benchmark. I'm going to go into more details on what can affect this conversion rate and how you can improve your e-commerce conversion rate so your store become more profitable and you can scale up in the long run. Hi, I'm Clarice Lin, the ROI doctor who helps small businesses and online stores get more sales and customers by getting on Google and YouTube page 1. If you're running an online store, doesn't matter if you have a Shopify store, website, or WooCommerce or BigCommerce or other e-commerce platform. So this video is just for you. It's important for you to be really clear on what is your conversion rate, so to speak, because it helps you to improve on your marketing campaigns. It helps your store to become more profitable over the long run. It helps you to focus more on getting more customers at a lower cost across different marketing channels, and also helps you to focus on turning your traffic into customers. And if you are using a Shopify store, this is where you can see your e-commerce conversion rate for your store. You can check it out right here. This is how it looks like. And I've also created another video where I explain the different reports that you can tap into to increase profitability of your store. So you can check this video out here for Shopify store owners. For WooCommerce store owners, don't worry. I'm sure you have. If you haven't, then I highly urge you to do that, is to install Google Analytics for your store. And in this Google Analytics report, you can see how many store visits you're getting and how many sales you're getting, and you'll be able to get this ratio or this percentage. And that should roughly, hopefully, translate to about 1 to 2%. But if it isn't, let me give you a couple of reasons why it's not and whether if your store is still healthy. Very quickly, I'm going to head on to my computer and show you a couple of statistics that I've pulled together showing you the conversion rate for different online stores in different industries, in different countries, how they are performing, so you get a better idea of where you stand compared to them. So let's check that out. First, let's take a look at the Kibo e-commerce quarterly report. So this company produces many different reports on e-commerce and their conversion rate. Let's take a look at their particular report that shows the Q2 2021, because we are currently right now going to Q2, Q1 ending, going to Q2 in 2022. So let's take a look at those numbers, because we want to compare conversion rate year by year rather than comparing consecutive quarters together. So when you take a look at this report, it's broken down by conversion rate by region. So Kibo has compiled together billions of customers' sessions across 250 plus retailer brands, and this is what they have found, that the conversion rate broken down by Great Britain, the US, Europe, and Middle East, and others. So the conversion rate you can see is higher in Great Britain compared to US, EMEA, and other. So it depends on where is your Shopify store, WooCommerce store is based, e-commerce conversion rate by country. By breaking down specifically by different countries rather than by regional level, you can see there is also a marked difference. In terms of Germany having a higher e-commerce conversion rate with 2.2%, average e-commerce conversion rate is between 1 to 2%. So you can see Germany slightly higher at 2.22%, United States just under 2%, and then UK at 1.88%. So you can see there's a difference across. One thing you want to keep in mind is that even though it's grouped by countries, you don't know what products they're actually selling. So sometimes having an aggregate of this country is just giving you like a flavor of how the conversion rate is like in that particular country, how people in that country might behave in a certain manner. However, depending on what are the products that they are selling, as well as the industry, the pricing of your products, that could also affect the conversion rate. The next report that I have here, similarly from Kibo, they have broken down the conversion rate by source, traffic source. So instead of having one conversion rate for the entire store, saying, okay, we have a 2% conversion rate, one way to identify areas of improvement for your different marketing campaigns. Let's say if you want to be ranking on Google search, or if you have an email list, or if you're doing social media, you're putting out posts or running ads for your store itself, advertising your products. So they will have different conversion rates. And knowing the conversion rates for each of these traffic sources would make more sense when you focus on marketing your products across the different channels. So as you can see, the conversion rate for search is 3% over here in general, 2.8% for direct, and then you have email and social, which to me is a little strange because typically how can we interpret this information is that people coming from Google search, typically they are searching for a product. They usually would want to buy something, so the conversion rate could be relatively higher than from other sources. Let's say if you're running ads, because for people who are coming to your store for the first time, they might not decide to buy the first time. They could take a few times to return to your store before they decide eventually to buy. And social, I'm not surprised that social conversion rate is slightly lower, mainly because people who are on social media platforms, usually they are there to discover, they're excited to discover a new brand, to interact with the brand, but they might not be deciding to buy that moment. Unless there is like a special launch, they are there to specifically check out certain products. Otherwise, people who found your store through social media, they are more laid back. They are more in a discovery mode, wanting to find out more, but not necessarily wanting to take out their cart to make a purchase right now. And why I've mentioned earlier that the conversion rate for email is a little bit lower than what I've expected is because people who have decided to be on your email list, directly on your email list, they've signed up for it. It means that they might have certain interactions before. So when you tell them that you may have a special offer or you have a special product launch specially for them, they will tend to convert, meaning that they will tend to want to buy from you compared to some customer who haven't heard of your business, doesn't know if they can trust your products at all in the first place. And what I want to show you is as well that there's different conversion rates. So having one singular number to decide if your store is performing or not doesn't help you to decide on where you should focus to market your products to. Instead, what you need to do is to look at specific conversion rate through search, email marketing, looking at the different channels. If you're running marketing campaigns across different channels, so you want to know specifically what is the conversion rate across different channels, so you know if you're putting more effort in that area, maybe you are expecting a higher conversion rate. And the next thing that I want to highlight as well is let's look at perhaps maybe one of the better ways to compare your store against a similar store in a different country would be by selected verticals. So this set of data is different from the previous one. So this is based on 22 billion visits from 1 billion shoppers from Statista. It's like a research company where they pull together all this information so as to help store owners to know whether they are performing or not. For example, like in food and beverages, the conversion rate is exceptionally high at 5.5% compared to the other. It's much higher than hair care, beauty and skincare, and then you can see the conversion rate is lowest for luxury handbags. So one thing for sure is for a higher conversion rate for food and beverage, it's more likely that food and beverage is definitely usually the pricing for that is quite low. It's a low commitment. Maybe some people would like to try the products. They'll buy it once or twice fairly quickly, and then they can decide if they don't like it, then they won't buy it again. So in this case, they don't need much thought into buying food and beverages, especially if it's like a snack or something that they like to eat. So they might have less restraint compared to let's say maybe they're buying a hair care products. Maybe they are worried that if you buy a hair care products, they can't use it anymore. They want to use the hair care products. If it's a good product, they would expect to be using it for a few months at least. So it's a product that they will spend more time researching on. Whereas I would say if you're buying a food and beverage products, you look at it and you want to try new products. So they might look at a few reviews, not necessarily putting in so much work and effort and time into the research process before they decide to buy. In this case, because they need less time to think about it, so the conversion rate would tend to be higher. They wouldn't need to come to the store a few more times before they decide to buy. So you can see that the conversion rate across the different verticals is also slightly different. So you want to keep that in mind
for your store products as well. So the next thing I want to bring out is a Shopify conversion rate. For March 2022, Little Data surveyed about 3,530 Shopify stores and found that the average conversion rate for a Shopify store is about 1.5%. So we don't really know what stores are included in this survey. 1.5% is just an average. It's good or bad. We don't really know unless you know specifically what they're selling, but I just want to share with you these numbers if you want to have some form of comparisons. About 1.5%. If your conversion rates, if you have like a Shopify store, anything more than 3.3% will put you in the best 20% of your Shopify stores. And then if you have a much higher percent, which is more than 4.8%, which is obviously going to be higher than the food and beverage. If you were selling food and beverage, then you'll be on the right track. If not, then if you're having like 1% or so and you're selling maybe like a luxury handbag, maybe will be considered that your store is performing really well. So I hope that gives you more information, more insights into how you interpret or how you can read into a good conversion rate or not. And I hope that also gives you some food for thought on how you can decide where you want to market your store, advertise your products to set your right expectations for your store going forward.
I hope that gives you some idea of how other stores are performing. As you can see, there are 5 different factors how they can affect your conversion rates in general. Using one conversion rate to measure the health of your entire store is not painting an accurate picture. Depends on which country your store is from. So maybe you're local, if you're more well-known within your local neighborhood, so maybe you could have a higher conversion rate compared to if you're selling to different countries, customers, your neighboring countries, so the conversion rate could be different. Also depends on the pricing of your products. If your products are more expensive, maybe they need more time to think about it, so they could come to your store. Shoppers could come to your store a few times before they decide to buy, so that could also affect your conversion rate. Also depends on how your shoppers got to know about your store, whether they came in through a Google Ads and click onto your store, or whether they came from an email list or came from social media, Facebook ads, or from an influencer marketing campaign that you have partnered up with well-known influencer. So that could also result in different conversion rate. So depends on where you are investing your money in. Your overall conversion rate might not necessarily fall between the 1 to 2% that I've mentioned at the beginning of this video. So you can use that as a benchmark value to measure yourself against, but do not take 1 to 2% as the ultimate number for your store. This obviously depends on which industry your store is in. There are some products that could have a higher conversion rate compared to other products. For example, in the airline industry, for people who are booking their tickets online, typically the cart abandonment rate for people who visit the store and add a ticket to their shopping cart and abandon the site is about 80%, mainly because people do a lot of research and they look at the total price and then they want to discuss with their family and friends, so they might return to the site a few times before making that final purchase. It depends hugely on which industry your store is in, and also depends on how big your store name is, like how many people really know about your brand. So if there are more people to know about, then obviously the conversion rate is going to be more steady over time. But at the beginning, you could have a different conversion rate to eventually when your brand is becoming more stable. At this point, you might be asking, how can I improve this conversion rate? First thing, increase trust. Make sure that online visitors who come to your store the first time, whether you have a Shopify store, WooCommerce store, BigCommerce store, whichever platform you're on, it doesn't matter. The entire purpose or goal is to create trust, create a clean online store that when they come to your store, they feel that they can trust you, they can trust your business. Make sure all your terms and conditions is transparent. People know about the shipping costs or any taxes. Immediately, they're not going to get any surprises at the end, so that's really going to help the conversion rate. If they get a shock, then that could be a huge issue. And try to keep your fonts consistent, try to use good pictures. That's going to help people really see what they're going to buy. And if you get good pictures, so they can see clearly this is what they can get, so they can envision it in their mind. If you have a picture that's not very clear, it's very blurry, it's very hard for them to imagine how this product will look like when they get it. So it's not going to make them excited to buy this product at all. Make sure you put in all your right images, put in your text properly to help customers to trust you. And one thing you can also help to increase trust in your products is create some videos so people can see and the products from different angles. That's going to help your shoppers to see and envision the products better. And if they can envision it better, then they're more likely to buy. So make sure you have all of these elements put together to help your customers to trust you quickly and decide to buy from you. The second way to improve your conversion rate is to display your social proof. If you have customers who are really happy after buying from you, ask them if you can get a review. If you're sending it to them, maybe you can send like a paper to ask them, okay, could you go to our review? To help increase your conversion rate, you should also display social proof on your storefront itself. You can download different apps that can help to draw in all the different good reviews, or even if there is a bad review, they would see likely the response to how you respond to the other customers, so they feel that your store is something to be trusted. And if your previous customer receive an item that has a defect, they put in a review complaint to say, okay, this part wasn't so good, and then you respond in that review to tell them, hey, sorry for this, it's not your error, okay, we understand this is a problem, to return it to us, we will give you a replacement for free. If you have factored that into your budget itself, then by doing that, it helps to increase your trust for your next customer to buy from you, because they know that if the product gets damaged during the shipping process, then they know it's not their fault, and they know they're going to get a replacement, then they're more likely to decide to buy from you. And if you can also encourage your customers to share the excitement and joy of opening their products on their social media accounts, they can tag you as well, and then you can share it on your social media pages. That's also going to help to increase sales, because when new potential buyers are hearing from existing customers their joy and delight to get these products, that's going to encourage them to think, oh yeah, this sounds really good. This person has something that I need, and they seem really happy about it. New customers who have seen these happy reviews from existing customers who get really excited, and then they'll be convinced to go and buy your products. Third way which you can improve your conversion rate is to offer free shipping. These days, many customers are expecting free shipping. That's one of their top criteria, especially if you have competitors selling similar items to yourself and they're offering free shipping and you aren't, then that could be a challenge, because then they think you're trying to jack up the price because this is the market price and everyone's offering this pricing. Then you want to make sure to see how you can offer more competitive pricing, or you can price the shipping cost into your product itself. But of course, don't follow others blindly. If your budget doesn't allow you to offer free shipping, see what else you can do to manage your cost itself, because ultimately if you're getting your products at a higher cost, or if you're manufacturing your products at a higher cost, then obviously to be able to offer free shipping to your customers, you need to have some kind of budget built in, so at the end of the day, your store is still sustainable. Don't follow what other people are doing. Offering free shipping is a suggestion, it's a good recommendation, but still go back and do your numbers to see how you can minimize your shipping costs and perhaps see how you can offset this shipping cost for your customers. Fourth way to increase your conversion rate is to have more vivid description for your product description itself. I see many online store owners, what they put in the description, it's like super short. They might only just give the dimensions of the product. They're not explaining what the product is made of, you know, whether it's waterproof or it's water resistant, or who would be most interested to buy these products, where would this product best fit in. Let's say, for example, if you're selling like a scarf, you know, instead of just promoting about the scarf and the material, other things you can talk about is you can say, this scarf would be most suited to go for a dinner party because it looks really formal and it can go well with certain types of clothes. By going into more vivid explanation, more descriptive, using more descriptive words, people can visualize how it would look like. And then they can put themselves in the shoes like, okay, if I go to a dinner party, I have this suit, like if I put this scarf, oh yeah, it could look really nice. So put those thoughts into their minds, plant those seeds in, so they can imagine how they would feel if they have this product in their hands. Having more descriptive, longer explanation, selling the benefits of your products rather than the features itself, is going to help to convince your customer to buy from you. Fifth way to increase your conversion rate is to offer wider variety of payment options. The most common options is of course like the debit card, credit card, and of course if you're using Stripe or PayPal, there are different options that buyers can actually use and buy from you. And if there are certain countries, then they are using certain payment methods which they favor more than the other. You want to be aware of those payment methods and try to offer them where possible. Also, make sure that when you're offering those methods, check out the transaction costs, where are the payment fees for incurring, so you can work that into your operating costs as well. Make sure that your store remains profitable by calculating all of these additional costs inside. You might think that this is a small thing, but there are certain payment methods which will incur higher costs than other payment methods. For example, like if you are doing a Stripe payment versus a PayPal takes a higher percentage of the total sales, so compared to the Stripe. So if your store don't already have a high profit margin itself, using those payment method that incurs a higher cost is going to cut into your profit. So do your due diligence. If you need some help into planning your marketing budget for your store, you can check out my other video right here where I talk about how to plan for the marketing budget for your store, so to make sure you're covering all the potential costs so that your store will remain sustainable and profitable in the long run. The sixth way to increase your conversion rate is to allow guest checkout. There has been many feedback from online shoppers is that some of them, they don't want to give all their details when they buy a product. They want to have this option of a guest checkout. Usually this happens when these guests don't see themselves coming back again anytime soon, or they don't want to give too much of their personal details because of privacy issues, so they would prefer to have a guest checkout. So keep that option open. You don't need too many details from your customers. Allow them to give you the minimal amount of information needed for them to buy the product, just the payment method, maybe their contact, either their contact number or your email. You don't need to know everything about them before selling the products, because if you do that, some of them might be put off and they will decide not to buy. So this is a very serious thing, especially buying online is becoming more and more common. There are many people who are more reluctant to hand over too much of their details every time they make an online purchase, so they are more cautious of handing out too much details. So make sure you offer this guest checkout option to increase your store's conversion rate. The seventh way to increase your conversion rate is to optimize your checkout process. See when shoppers would drop out, if they have decided to check out already, which are the steps that they decide to abandon the cart altogether. Look at those process and try to minimize the amount of information you get from them. If you need more information from them that's not needed within the purchase, you can get from them later. But to get that sale quickly, make sure you don't distract them from the final purchase before the final buy button. Remove all distractions. Don't try to sell anymore. Just make sure they fill in their details when they're ready to buy, all their details, their payment method details, and that's it. Anything else comes later. Simplify this process so they have no chance to change their mind or think again or give them other food for thought. Also make sure you set everything up carefully. Make sure that your payment methods work well on the mobile as well as on the desktop, because there are more and more people being very comfortable with buying through their mobile phone. So make sure that the checkout experience on the mobile remains the same as the desktop. Try to make it easy for them to decide to buy. Don't give them a reason to drop off. And those are the 7 ways which you can improve your store's conversion rate. If you want to get even more traffic to your store through a variety of different channels, you can check out my latest Shopify marketing guide where I detail the different online channels that you can tap into to get more store traffic and which are the different pros and cons, so you can evaluate and decide which are the best marketing channels that you should leverage for your store itself. So the link is in the description and pinned comment, so do check that out. And if you want to learn specifically the different tactics on how to get free Google traffic or Bing traffic, or to get more traffic without running ads, you can check out my other videos in my Shopify marketing playlist, so do check that out. And if your online store is not using the Shopify platform, you can also check out that playlist, because I talk about different marketing tactics that you can generate sales for your online store as well, so do check that out. And if you enjoyed this video and found it useful, remember to tap on the like button, subscribe to my channel, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss future videos on how to get more traffic and sales for your online store by getting on Google and YouTube. And I'm Clarice Lin signing off. I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Thank you.